In the third year of her relationship with Ethan, he suddenly proposed to Emma. At the cinema, just as the movie ended, Ethan held Emma back from leaving.
Ethan, what's going on?
The screen unexpectedly started playing clips of their memories together.
Emma, will you marry me?
He presented a bouquet from behind his back and a delicate, exquisite ring appeared before her.
Say yes, say yes.
Emma took a deep breath.
Only this proposal step is left to complete the task. Emma Lynn, you should be happy.
She forced a smile and extended her hand.
I will.
The atmosphere in the cinema was perfect, with applause and cheers filling the air. In the midst of the commotion, Ethan's phone rang. He glanced at the caller ID, then handed Emma the bouquet with an apologetic look.
Sorry, Emma, Sophie had an accident. I need to check on her. You go home and wait for me, okay?
The movie screen displayed scenes of him buying her cakes and making crafts. Emma held the bouquet in her left hand, while her right hand hung by her side, slightly clenched.
It's okay, you go ahead.
In front of everyone, Ethan rushed out without hesitation, not considering how embarrassed Emma would feel in this situation. Her heart sank to the bottom.
Everyone, please disperse.
When she saw that message from Sophie, she had anticipated this moment. In Ethan's heart, she had never been as important as Sophie. In this world, I am an orphan, and Ethan is my target. I've known him for 4 years. Since our junior year in college, he has always been my protector. He is handsome, considerate, gentle. It seems that every good adjective fits him perfectly. After 3 years of dating, I have truly fallen deeper in love with him bit by bit. I always believed that I could wait for the day he proposed to me. By then, I would have completed my mission and lived happily ever after with him. But in the end, it was just a foolish dream. The clock ticked away. I turned off the light, and the living room was plunged into darkness. I curled up on the sofa and dialed his number. He didn't answer. Unwilling to give up, I kept calling again and again until finally, there was a response on the other end.
Emma, can you stop bothering me? I'm buying milk tea for Sophie. Don't call unless it's important.
Ethan's tone had completely changed from his usual gentleness. I had never heard him speak like this before. I listened to the sound of the call being disconnected, stunned.
If he could still drink milk tea, it couldn't have been a serious car accident. Besides, could buying milk tea for Sophie be more important than my proposal?
I couldn't help but feel disoriented. Did Ethan truly love me? What did all my efforts over the past few years mean? In college, I lived frugally with him, spending only $1,500 a month. After graduation, I supported him in starting his business, washing his clothes and cooking for him every day. I always cared for him, reminding him to take care of his health. But now it seems, all his hard work and efforts were for Sophie. So that one day, he could hold his head high in front of her. I couldn't understand. In someone's heart, could anyone truly never compare to their idealized love? A week later, Sophie was discharged from the hospital. Ethan, carrying various supplements in one hand and holding Sophie's hand with the other, cheerfully returned to our home. Following them was Ethan's mom.
Emma, Sophie hasn't fully recovered yet. She just returned to the country, and her parents aren't here. I asked her to stay with you for a while. You don't mind, do you?
Ethan's mom looked around the living room and, with a thick-skinned smile, patted my hand.
I do mind.
Ethan's mom's expression changed immediately. I had always respected Aunt. I never thought she would say something like this to me.
Ethan, if you still consider me your girlfriend, if you still care about me, Please don't make me feel this way.
I'm sorry, Ethan, for causing you trouble. I'll leave now.
Sophie wiped her tears, looking extremely helpless. I knew Ethan always fell for this. Sure enough, he stopped Sophie from leaving. And also looked protective of Sophie, as if afraid she would be mistreated.
Emma, be reasonable. Of course, I care about you. But Sophie is my friend, and I can't just abandon her in her time of need.
Ethan came over and ruffled my hair, comforting me as usual. But this time, something seemed to have changed. I suddenly felt tired.
Sophie can stay in the room on the far left. Just don't disturb me.
Ethan immediately smiled at Sophie, delighted. And then led Sophie into the room with a grand air, the two of them looking more like mother-in-law and daughter-in-law. Ethan spread out the snacks he was holding in front of me.
Emma, eat more.
Before I could respond, he eagerly turned to find Sophie. He made her bed, found her a cup. These were things Ethan had never bothered to do for me. The room was filled with their joy, while I sat alone in the cold, empty living room. I pushed away the snacks in front of me and got up to take the farthest tangerine from the fruit plate. I don't want anyone's leftovers. In front of everyone, he rushed out without hesitation, not considering how embarrassed I would feel in this situation. My heart sank to the bottom.
Everyone, please disperse.
When I saw that message from Sophie, I had anticipated this moment. In Ethan's heart, I had never been as important as Sophie. The heavy rain soaked my clothes, and in the darkness of the night, I could only find shelter under a closed shop's awning. This place was remote, and with the rain pouring down, getting a ride was nearly impossible. I stared at the ride-hailing app on my phone, squatting on the ground in despair.
Why does it always end up like this?
Since this morning, whenever Ethan wasn't around, Sophie would start making snide remarks in front of me.
You know, Emma, Ethan was complaining about you again.
What did he say?
Sophie, being with Emma is really exhausting sometimes. She never trusts my feelings for her and always doubts my relationship with you. Our years of friendship have become strained because of her. What more does she want from me?
The voice message was abruptly paused by Sophie. She gently brushed her brightly painted nails.
You see, you're so clueless. It won't be long before Ethan leaves you for me.
Ethan still remembers our anniversary. He loves me.
She laughed, as if hearing a hilarious joke, covering her mouth.
Don't be so confident. Ethan will definitely be with me tonight.
I don't believe you.
Sophie rolled her eyes disdainfully.
Let's see tonight then.
And indeed, I was left alone that night. This was the outcome I had vaguely anticipated. I have always been someone with self-awareness. The rain poured harder, and I still couldn't get a ride.
At this moment, Ethan was probably on his way to buy a cake for Sophie. I wonder if he would worry about me.
Resigned, I walked into the rain. My heart grew colder with each drop of rain. Rain fell on my hair, my face, my shoulders.
We should break up.
Back home, I said this calmly. Ethan paused his face washing. He just glanced back at me, thinking I was being capricious again.
Emma, stop it. I have some free time this afternoon. Let's go watch a movie to make up for last night.
I had no interest in any movie. What I cared about was Ethan's lack of a proper response to last night's incident. Now, I didn't want to resolve it anymore.
Ethan, I got a bit of a fever from the rain last night and went to see a doctor. Coincidentally, the results of a full-body checkup I did a few days ago came out. The doctor said I have a serious illness, and the prognosis isn't good, so I don't want to burden you.
I smiled nonchalantly, and Ethan was unexpectedly stunned. Then he looked at me with a tense expression, pressing my shoulder in disbelief.
Emma, what are you talking about?
I said I have a terminal illness and want to break up with you.
Emma looked at Ethan quietly, her tone calm as if she were discussing something trivial.
Ethan, I think we need to talk.
No, I don't believe it. I'll take you for another checkup right now.
Ethan's eyes reddened with a tremor. It was the first time Emma had seen him like this. He grabbed her hand and tried to pull her out the door.
Ethan, I want a cake from that shop in the north of the city.
She knew he would definitely go to get it. Sure enough, he agreed immediately.
Emma, wait for me. I'll go now, and when I get back, we'll go to the hospital.
Emma nodded obediently. After he left, she took out the suitcase she had already packed from the bedroom and gathered all her belongings. She also took her laptop from the study. Emma left the forged medical report on the table in the living room. Finally, she took a deep look at the house. After living there for 3 years, it was hard to say goodbye. She took a deep breath and walked out the door with her things. The world is so big, and Emma didn't know where to go. She thought of James. Last night, she ran into James by chance on the road, and he drove her home. In college, she was the head of the student council's publicity department, and he was a junior in their department. They didn't interact much back then, but she never expected to meet again under such circumstances. Emma called him, and his car appeared in front of her shortly after. Seeing her luggage, James naturally took it and put it in the car.
Last night, you mentioned that your place is hiring and provides food and accommodation, so today I shamelessly came to find you. Please take me in.
You're joking, aren't you? You taught me so much in college, of course, I have to help you. By the way, did you have a disagreement with your boyfriend?
Emma lowered her head, unsure of how he could tell.
Yes.
James patted her shoulder and laughed heartily.
It's okay. I'll take you in. As long as you don't mind, I guarantee you won't live any worse than before.
James runs a pet store. He didn't major in this field in college, and Emma didn't understand why he opened a pet store. Maybe it's his hobby. Fortunately, she loves pets, and she began to look forward to this job. I moved into the pet shop and hadn't seen Ethan since that day. He often called me, but I would just glance at the caller ID and hang up. I didn't want to hear his voice for a while. But I didn't expect him to come looking for me. That day, the pet shop was quiet, and I was sitting by the table, bored, watching a show. Ethan walked in with red-rimmed eyes.
Emma, why did you leave without saying anything?
He grabbed me tightly, refusing to let go no matter how much I struggled. I was annoyed and fiercely shook off his arm. Then I quickly composed my expression.
You hurt me.
Ethan awkwardly withdrew his hand.
I was just worried.
He still insisted on taking me away.
Emma, let's go to the hospital for another checkup. That way, I can understand your condition better.
I don't want to go.
Why not?
I furrowed my brows slightly, looking sorrowful.
I know my own condition. Sophie told me I shouldn't burden you, so I don't want you to worry about me.
What? She said that to you?
I sneered inwardly. Ethan, the jerk, didn't want to be criticized for being with me, but he also didn't want to lose his idealized image of Sophie. Now that Sophie's image was somewhat tarnished in his mind, I wondered what he would choose.
Sophie must have said it unintentionally. You don't need to take it to heart.
It seemed that Sophie's image was deeply ingrained in his mind, and my words alone couldn't completely change his view. Fortunately, I had another card up my sleeve. On the night of our anniversary, when Sophie came to see me, I secretly recorded our conversation. Now was the perfect time to use it. I played the recording at full volume in front of Ethan. As he listened to the conversation between Sophie and me, his expression gradually turned to anger.
Ethan, I know I'm not good enough for you. You should be with Sophie and live a good life. Don't come looking for me anymore.
I turned off the recording.
Just let me wait here quietly.
Although Ethan no longer loved me, my words would surely make him feel guilty. Even if I left him, he would be tormented by guilt every day. He reached out to touch my face, but just as I was about to avoid him, someone suddenly walked in. It was James. He stormed in and punched Ethan in the stomach. James worked out every day, so his strength was undeniable. That punch would hurt Ethan for days. I was secretly pleased.
James, please escort Mr. Ethan out. I don't want to see him.
And if you could punch him a few more times, that would be even better. James nodded at me and raised his fist towards Ethan.
Please leave.
Seeing James's aggressive stance, Ethan didn't dare to act recklessly.
Emma, wait for me to find a doctor to save you.
With that, he dodged James's punches and fled with his tail between his legs. I sneered disdainfully.
Who cares?
I heard everything you just said.
James brought me a cup of hot fruit tea, knowing I loved it and didn't want me to catch a cold.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I propped my chin and studied the man in front of me. James was exceptionally good-looking, even more so than Ethan. Back in college, he was the famous heartthrob of the student council, never short of admirers.
Why are you helping me?
He looked a bit flustered.
Because I consider you a friend.
Thank you. I consider you my good friend too, my only friend.
James's eyes darkened instantly, like a wronged puppy, as he took a pitiful sip of tea. After spending time together, I had already guessed what he was thinking. But the pain of gaining and then losing something again was something I didn't want to experience. Why drag an innocent person into this mess? All I wanted now was to wait for the right moment. A moment for revenge. I looked gravely at the message Ethan had sent.
Emma, cheer up. Everything will get better.
I'm fine, don't worry.
After a moment's thought, I added,
How's everything at the company?
All negotiations are going well. We're discussing a major deal recently. Don't worry, Emma.
I put down my phone and didn't reply. Good, the company's doing well. I went to Ethan's company and found an employee I was familiar with from when the company was just starting. I had helped him a lot before, so I trusted he could handle my request. I sent him the recording of that night with Sophie and the intimate photos of Sophie and Ethan I had taken over this period.
Please, post these in your company group chat using a secondary account.
Miss Lin, I'll get it done.
I nodded in satisfaction. Ruining those two was the first step of my plan. 3 days later, Ethan's company was buzzing with gossip. The information I provided had spread everywhere, even the vendors downstairs had heard about it.
Did you hear? Ethan from the company upstairs cheated.
Yeah, I heard. Apparently, he got rich and dumped his girlfriend. Even moved another woman into his place before breaking up.
What kind of person does that? I used to think he was handsome and good to his girlfriend. Turns out he's just a two-timing jerk.
Serves him right.
I hope his company goes under soon.
Exactly.
Hearing these words, I felt a sense of satisfaction. In just a few days, Ethan's reputation had taken such a hit. The public truly has sharp eyes. While some were pleased, others couldn't sit still.
What exactly are you trying to do?
In the cafe, Sophie sat across from me, looking like a powder keg ready to explode. I slowly stirred my coffee.
Nothing much, just enjoying the show.
My attitude infuriated her. She didn't care that we were in a cafe and started yelling.
Who do you think you are? Can't win a man over, so you resort to such low tactics. No wonder Ethan doesn't like you.
Really? I feel like he quite likes me.
You're shameless.
It was the same old argument, and I had no interest in continuing the conversation with Sophie. I turned off the recording on my phone and smugly waved it at her. Sophie was truly foolish, only she could fall for the same trick twice. She was livid and tried to snatch my phone. I was prepared and quickly put my phone in my bag, leaving first. I missed the fleeting malicious expression on Sophie's face as I walked away. On my way home, I passed by a riverside. A gentle breeze carried the fresh scent of the river, making me feel a bit lighter. These past few days had been tense, and the constant mental strain was exhausting. I sat quietly by the river, wanting to enjoy a moment of peace. Suddenly, a strong force hit me from behind.
Ah!
Caught off guard, I screamed and fell into the river. The icy water engulfed me, and darkness slowly took over my vision. In my last conscious moment, I thought of Ethan and Sophie. What a pity! I hadn't punished them yet. Would I die here? No, I don't want to die. I woke up in a hospital. As soon as I opened my eyes, someone grabbed my hand.
Emma, you're awake.
James's tired face came into view. It was James who saved me. He gave me a gentle smile, and I quietly withdrew my hand.
Thank you.
I've told you many times, no need to thank me.
Really, thank you.
Thank you for bringing me back, for helping me out of difficult situations, for always being there for me. I have nothing to repay you with, the only thing I can do is to leave you quickly. The doctor said I just inhaled some water, nothing serious, and I could be discharged after a few days of rest. After paying the medical bills, I sneaked out of the hospital without telling James. I rented a room and took out the notebook I had taken from Ethan's study. It contained my research on Ethan's company. I had been observing his company and finally found a flaw not long ago. I wanted to deliver a fatal blow, to make him utterly despair. I contacted a newspaper and bought online influencers, spending a lot of money to spread scandals about Ethan's company. His company was dishonest, having just agreed to a product collaboration with a small company, they tampered with the product quality. When problems arose, they shifted the blame to the small company and even demanded huge compensation. For a time, criticism flooded in from all directions. Ethan must be unable to withstand this. When I graduated and started a business with Ethan, I was passionate and eager to achieve something with him. But now, it was I who destroyed him. It's truly ironic. Due to this incident, Ethan's company faced a trust crisis with its existing partners. The partners observed for a while, saw the situation worsening, and eventually, it became uncontrollable, with the entire internet condemning Ethan's character. They were completely disappointed in Ethan and withdrew their investments. Even the major collaboration Ethan had mentioned to me fell through. It was expected. Now that Ethan had become a public target, no company would be foolish enough to collaborate with him. Just as I was secretly pleased, I received a message from Ethan.
Emma, are you feeling better lately? Is the treatment painful?
I was stunned when I opened the message. At this point, instead of blaming me, he was still concerned about my health. I felt guilty for a moment, then suddenly realized this was a ploy. Anyone can play this game, and so can I.
Ethan, it doesn't hurt. I don't have much time left. I'm glad to have known you. Remember to love yourself.
I wasn't lying. I've stayed in this world long enough. It's time for me to leave. I wonder if Ethan will be sad after I'm gone, or if he'll be content to be with Sophie. Ethan was silent for a long time, so long that I thought he wouldn't reply. Then he suddenly sent me 4 words.
I love you too.
In front of everyone, he rushed out without hesitation, not considering how embarrassed I would feel in this situation.
Everyone, please disperse.
When I saw that message from Sophie, I had anticipated this moment. In Ethan's heart, I had never been as important as Sophie. Ethan had been knocking on the pet store door for half an hour when he finally saw James.
Vague sense of unease crept into his heart, as if something was slowly slipping away from him.
Tell me where Emma is.
Ethan rushed forward and grabbed James by the collar, but he was no match for James, who quickly overpowered him.
I don't know.
I don't believe you. Tell me where she is. I found a doctor who can help her.
And you have the nerve to come looking for her?
James had never encountered someone so shameless. For the first time, he felt an urge to hit him.
She's gone. You don't need to look for her anymore, and don't come back to discuss me.
He first met Emma at the student council recruitment event.
Back then, the senior's smile was bright and confident. He hadn't planned on joining the student council, but somehow he ended up filling out the form Emma handed him. Oh, him. The senior was gentle yet strong. No matter what challenges the student council faced, she always led the department to do their best. Her calm and composure fascinated James, and wherever Emma was, his eyes would naturally follow. Ames wanted to pursue her, but just as the thought emerged, he learned that Emma had a boyfriend. When he saw Emma in the arms of a boy named Ethan, her face showed a happiness he had never seen before. Oh, James decided to let Emma be. He would rather silently protect her from the shadows. As long as Emma was happy, that was enough.
But now he regretted it.
MMA loved them so much, yet how did them treat her? How could someone like him be worthy of Emma's affection?
With a face full of disdain, James kicked Ethan and then dragged out his suitcase from the store.
She's gone. You don't need to look for her anymore, and don't come back to discuss me.
In the letter Emma left, she said she wanted to travel and experience new things.
MMA didn't want them to know her whereabouts, and James was helpless. He decided to travel as well. His world is vast, but if one's heart is set on someone, he believed that somewhere he would meet the person he longed to see. After James left, the pet store closed its doors. Then was left alone, squatting in despair.
Ethan trembled as he caressed the engagement ring that once belonged to Emma Lynn.
Tear rolled down his cheek and fell onto the ring. He pressed the ring tightly against his chest. He remembered the sunny day he proposed, how Emma held his hand on the way to the movies, leaning on his shoulder and saying she wanted to be with him forever. Ow, all he had left was this ring. Maybe it's for the best.
Emma Lynn, may your future be peaceful and smooth. May you never meet someone like me again.
Ethan introduces himself.
My name is Ethan. I am the one Emma Lynn is trying to win over. Emma and I have known each other for 4 years and have been in a relationship for 3. In our junior year, she lay on her desk, her bright and clear eyes looking at me, her lips curling into a smile, revealing shallow dimples. It was love at first sight. Yes, love at first sight is just that simple.
Later, they started dating. She accompanied him through college, living frugally, and after graduation, she encouraged him to start his own business.
I swore I would love her for a lifetime. And I firmly believed we would have a wonderful life together, growing old hand in hand.
But everything changed that day. It was supposed to be an ordinary day. Ethan came home 2 hours early because the project at his company was completed ahead of schedule. He brought Emma's favorite strawberry cake, wanting to surprise her. When he knocked on her door, he heard voices inside, so he paused.
You mean if I succeed in winning over Ethan and stay, I will face a terminal illness within 3 months?
Correct. You should carefully consider whether to stay or not.
No need to say more. I will stay. Without Ethan by my side, my future days would be meaningless.
Upon hearing these words, Ethan was shocked but quickly accepted the news. He didn't read novels often, but Emma had explained to him what it means to win someone over, so he understood the implications of what she said. It meant that only one of them could survive, and she chose him without hesitation.
But I didn't want it that way. I wanted her to live well, even if it meant without me. So I came up with a plan. I would make her believe I didn't love her anymore, so she would leave me on her own. I enlisted Sophie, who had grown up with me, to help me with the act.
He knew Emma despised the idea of close female friends. With Sophie around, there would inevitably be tension between them.
Sure enough, after I left Emma during my proposal because of Sophie, and after bringing Sophie to live at my house, our relationship suffered irreparable damage. But I couldn't explain. I could only silently endure everything, feeling heartbroken for Emma but unable to comfort her.
On their anniversary, Ethan booked a restaurant early and set up a romantic scene, hoping Emma could have a moment of happiness.
Seeing her face full of joy, I wished I could selfishly keep her with me forever. But I could only swallow those words with my drink, burying them deep in my heart.
That day, a heavy rainstorm hit. Ethan didn't go to buy cake for Sophie. Instead, he turned back halfway to stay by Emma's side, quietly accompanying her in the shadows.
She usually hated the rain. She said she feared I would catch a cold, get sick, or feel down when it rained. She hoped I would always stay healthy.
I thought, at this moment, I probably didn't deserve her concern. I silently followed her through the rain, each step cutting into my heart like a knife. I knew I had no right to feel pain because Emma's pain would only be greater than mine.
Later, a car appeared beside Emma, and a man got out with an umbrella to take her away. Ethan's feet were rooted to the spot. He didn't step forward. At least this way, Emma wouldn't have to get soaked in the rain.
This bone-chilling rain, I would bear it alone. Emma, you want to break up with me?
Yes, Ethan. Here's my medical report.
I couldn't believe it. I just wanted her to leave me and go back to where she belonged. Why did she have to endure this? She was always afraid of pain. Breaking up was fine, but not now.
Emma, we need to find the best doctor to treat your illness. I don't want you to suffer.
However, Emma disappeared without a word. In the end, it was my fault for hurting her too deeply. After much inquiry, I found James's pet shop, where Emma was staying. I had heard of James back in college. He was handsome and had many admirers, making him a well-known figure on campus.
I don't care about him. I just want to take Emma away.
When I saw Emma, she didn't appreciate my gesture. She played a recording of her conversation with Sophie.
Listen to this, Ethan.
I had never seen this side of Sophie. In private, Sophie was so malicious. Her words pierced Emma's heart and mine as well. I understood it was all my fault.
Sophie, I need an explanation.
It was all for your good, Ethan. You asked me to act to upset Emma, and now you're pretending to be the good guy?
We had a big argument and parted on bad terms. Later, rumors about Sophie and me spread in the company, and my reputation gradually worsened. Then, a traitor in the company conspired with outsiders to embezzle our products, plunging our company into disrepute. This incident was reported by those with ulterior motives, making the situation irreparable. All our partners terminated their collaborations with us, and my company went bankrupt. A series of events weighed me down, but fortunately, I found an old doctor who could help with Emma's condition. But I couldn't find Emma anywhere. Sophie smugly came to me, boasting about her deeds.
I pushed Emma into the water, leaving her fate uncertain. It's all your fault, Ethan. If it weren't for you, she wouldn't have suffered.
I reported her to the police without hesitation, ensuring she faced punishment. Despite this, I still couldn't find out Emma's whereabouts. Thankfully, Emma was safe.
Emma, where are you? Please, let me help you.
I'm quietly waiting for the end, Ethan.
Reading those words shattered my heart. I hated, I regretted. Trembling, I didn't know what to say. Holding my phone for a long time, I only managed to send one sentence.
I love you too.
Such beautiful yet powerless words. At the pet shop door, I learned of her departure.
Leave, Ethan. You don't deserve her.
James kicked me then, and I felt it wasn't enough. He should have beaten me to death. Someone like me didn't deserve to live in this world.
I wish I could disappear. Maybe then I could be with Emma in her world.
But I didn't. I could only uselessly hold the ring and squat on the ground, crying. For the rest of my life, I would live in remorse for Emma. The years I spent with Emma were the happiest times of my life.
Emmeline, we were not meant to be in this life. In the next life, I only wish for one glance from you. Just one, and I would be satisfied.